Hey, what's up? My name's Angela. Welcome. I'm really glad to have you here today. Today we're going to be reading a book that comes from quite an unlikely person, someone that I don't think I would have ever expected to be reading a book from, and it is the queen, the ice princess herself, Miss Jessica Jung. Jessica is a former member of the K-pop girl group Girls' Generation, one of the OG girl groups alongside Wonder Girls and 2NE1. She is a legend, I feel like, in the K-pop community, and now she's released a book alongside that. Her book is called Shine, and the reason why I led off with Jessica's history of being in a K-pop girl group is because this book follows a K-pop trainee. We're following Rachel, who has been training for several years with an entertainment company, wanting to debut in a K-pop group, and it kind of seems like it's going to be giving us some behind-the-scenes looks into trainee life, the dynamics between different groups and their entertainment companies, as well as the strict rules that a lot of trainees have to stick to so that they can successfully debut. And apparently there's already a second book in the making called Bright, which is following Rachel as she is debuted in her new group. I thought we could do this video kind of vlog style. I'll be reading through the book, sharing with you my thoughts, and letting you know how this book is as like a novel. Because while it's really cool that we're getting this kind of behind the scenes look into this very kind of shrouded industry that is the K-pop industry from someone who used to be really deeply rooted in that industry, it's important that I feel like I also separate the person from the book. Alright, let's get into reading Shine. Hi, Editing Angela here. Please consider this as a part 2 to my K-pop and books video series. If you're interested in seeing me read ATEEZ's book recommendations, I'll have that video linked in the cards as well as in the description box down below. Now on to the rest of the video. We are one chapter in and I already have some thoughts. Rachel is a 17-year-old who has been training for about 6 years now. She is Korean American, which makes her a bit of a pariah among the other trainees, and she already has some very clear enemies. And within the first chapter, you can already see, like, this book is basically Jessica's life. In interviews, Jessica has tried to downplay some of the realism behind the book, saying that yes, while Rachel and her share many similarities, they're both Korean American, they both had a very similar trainee lifestyle, same attitudes towards trainees, they're not the same people. And if I may make a somewhat large logical leap, I would say that the beginning is definitely throwing some not so subtle shade towards SM. Because DB Entertainment, the entertainment company that Rachel is at, is basically SM Entertainment, the entertainment company that Jessica was with or is with. I'm really not sure if I don't think she's with SM anymore. Like, they mentioned that DB has an office building in this area of Seoul where SM has like a huge office in that area of Seoul. Like, I'm also living for these group names. Like, they're so cringy and cheesy that I feel like they must be another like layer of this kind of just poking fun at K-pop, because like there was this one group that would like had a money sign randomly. It was like next, like not next boys, it was something like next best group, best dudes or whatever, and they just have a random money sign in the middle of their group name, and I was just like, oh my god, this is too much. This is just taking making fun of K-pop to the next level. And you know what? Who is more qualified to do this than Jessica? What I'll say so far is that this book is also pretty exaggerated. It's not one for subtleties in the writing. You're getting a bunch of teenagers who are stressed, under a lot of pressure, and also very superficial. So a lot of the drama that comes up and a lot of the issues that they're facing are pretty superficial as well. So far, we're not getting a whole lot of substance from them. But then this whole industry itself is not always full of substance, which maybe it's me trying to make that connection again and making this more than what it is. If you like books with tropes like rich people problem, high school girl drama, or like superficial celebrity problems, I think you'll really get into this book. It's got a lot of that so far. I'm really not enjoying Mina as a villain character right now. She is one of the other trainees that is like one of the senior trainees, and she has this long-standing hatred of Rachel because of something seemingly insignificant that happens when they first meet. And so far, all we're getting of her is this very one-sided hatred of her. She's such a comically terrible person that I almost hate her for being so one-sided more than I hate her for her actual bad personality traits. And let's not even get started talking about Jason Lee, the supposed love interest. He is a boy group member who is apparently like, he's also Korean American, and he got scouted by I guess he's the CEO, Mr. No, of DB Entertainment, and so he's like the golden boy of the company. And his first meeting with Rachel was just so corny, and the conversation was corny, and it was, oh god. Right now these characters are all very much caricatures of what you would expect from the entertainment industry. Nothing super fleshed out about them right now. I'm hoping we get a redemption arc with Mina, because that'd be pretty cool. That's the only thing that's kind of bothering me right now, is that everything seems like such an exaggeration of the entertainment industry, like highlighting all the most superficial parts of it. Maybe what it is that I secretly wanted kind of an analysis of the weird stuff, the superficial stuff, the really crappy stuff that happens as a trainee, because I think that is so much more interesting than what actually, like, it's just stating what happens. Like, I would rather have a discussion about maybe the, oh my god, what is that big ass bug? In a way, I think I would enjoy this book more if we had a deeper dive into the like nuances of being a trainee. For example, the parts where Rachel and her mom are kind of arguing over, well, do I, pursue my dream to be a K-pop star, or do I take the more practical path and go to college? And I think that, honestly, that like discussion, or that diving into the discussion of like the balance between these two, is a much more interesting take of the industry than like, oh, this trainee lost this much weight, or is rumored to be dating this person. The amount of focus on gossip in this book, though I don't know maybe if that's realistic and we're playing to the realism part of it, is probably the it's the most repetitive part. And I forgot to mention one more thing that I found really interesting while reading this book. So apparently Jessica purposefully left a lot of Korean phrases in the book, ones like beyond just maybe like mom and dad in Korean. She had like a whole conversation put in, romanization, in the book at one point between Rachel and a grandmother she meets on the bus. I'm a little divided on how I feel about that, because on one hand I think it's really great that Jessica's point of putting Korean in her book will kind of encourage people to maybe look up what these phrases mean and learn a little bit of Korean, and it also, includes like a big part of her personal culture, and also like what K-pop culture is. It's in Korea, they're gonna speak Korean. The one part of that I don't find works out as well is that there's no context around it for people to like understand what the Korean actually means. So like if you don't speak Korean, or if you don't put into the energy into searching up what the Korean means, you're missing like a lot of the nuances and the kind of things that go around. Like, they're not like huge things, but like you're missing some of these little parts that I feel like could have benefited from maybe just like one sentence that has the context of it in English. That obviously all comes down to author choice and editor choice. And at this point, I think she's really gotten her point across of trying to encourage people to search up Korean phrases. We're learning how to Kasen Korean or learning a lot of other things. So it's another day and another chapter in the life of Rachel Kim, our Star DB Entertainment trainee. We're not on the kitchen floor, but we are on my bedroom floor, so I guess I'll spill a little bit of tea about this book so far. We're currently 64.86% into the book, and things are spicing up between Jason and Rachel. They're together now, by the way, and it's kind of early to me that they already got together in the book. I thought we were gonna get some long, drawn out, like pining, but nah, like Jason is totally into Rachel. So at this point, they're together, but because he's a big shot celebrity, like they can't do anything about it, so they're just dating in secret. I mentioned earlier that what I really wanted from this story was a Mina redemption arc, and I think we're getting it because we got a little sneak peek of her relationship with her dad, Mr. Chu, who apparently is this big stakeholder at DB Entertainment, and he's kind of an asshole, and he definitely doesn't treat Mina very well, so you kind of understand where that very raw anger that Mina has comes from. And we have Rachel, who, while she's enjoying this very new and exciting romance with Jason, as well as celebrating her success with the, what do you call it, not a triet, I was about to say a triet because, you know, two brain cells, what do you call it, a trio song, I guess, with her, Mina, and Jason, their Summer Heat single. I was about to say she's celebrating the success of that as well. Her idol dreams are not necessarily, like, they haven't come to fruition yet because her mom and her had this big fight, and basically she still has a debut in a group before the big DB family tour for her to not get pulled out of the trainee program completely. And honestly, like, I feel like that's pretty reasonable already on several levels from her mom, who, like, let's be real, her mom's probably just like thinking like, it's been 7 years, honey, like if you haven't debuted by now, your chances are pretty slim. So I think she's like trying to be a reasonable parent and also be supportive, but she's also kind of pissed off on a lot of levels. Yeah, like right now I'm stuck at the part where Rachel and Jason are at their date at Latte World. They've basically disguised themselves to be able to go out on a public date, and I don't know, I'm not really living for their romance, TBH. Like, it's cute, whatever, it's fine, but I kind of miss, I know I said I didn't like the gossip, but I really miss that spicy trainee drama, just because it's the only really interesting thing that's like keeping me engaged with the book, like the trainee process. My goal is I'm gonna try to wrap this up today because I've dragged this book on for long enough. It's a pretty, actually, the good thing about this book is that it's a really easy read. Like, it just flies by. The tone that Jessica writes with is conversational in a lot of ways. She's writing in a very natural and fluid way, much like the things you would say when you're just having a conversation with someone, which makes this book really, like, just easy and nice to read through and to follow Rachel's story. So I think that's probably the thing I really appreciate about this book so far. And yeah, it's definitely fun in a lot of ways. And I think I'm just stuck right now because I have a stone cold heart and I don't like romance. No, I'm just that's a flat out lie. I think I'm stuck right now because it's just a lot of fluff, and you know, I don't like straight fluff. I like fluff with like a shot of sriracha or something, like something to keep it spicy and keep it going. So I'm sure we'll get there soon. I foresee a big fight later in the future with Rachel and Akari, because I mean, we're already getting the little build up to it. Rachel's been ignoring Akari, her basically only true friend that's a trainee at DB Entertainment, so we're gonna get a blowout there somewhere, and I have a feeling that maybe Mina will have a comeback. What if Rachel and Mina end up in the same group and like they got a debut together? Oh, that would be a character arc turn. Like, they become the best of friends. They wouldn't become the best of friends. We'll see. We're maybe 5% from the end. Things are not going well. These things have hit a very not good point. And Rachel and Mina are probably never, ever going to be friends ever. They still might debut together though, which I think that'd be really fun. They might, I don't know. There's no hint of that, but yeah. News update. I take back what I said before. We are getting drama and substance in this book. So I meant to mention this earlier, but there was this whole conversation that Rachel and Jason had about essentially non-Korean, like how do you say that? Because it's not just foreigners, it's like non-Koreans and how they're treated in K-pop. So even if you're Korean American, you get treated differently. If you're Korean Canadian, like Jason is, you get treated differently. If you're not Korean at all, like if you're from China, Thailand, Japan, well, you know, currently there's so many K-pop stars from different parts of Asia that get treated differently in the K-pop industry and within their entertainment companies, and they talk about that. And that's a really important point to make, because not only are they treated differently by their companies, they're treated differently by the public. I think she's really great that she's calling out all these things in the K-pop industry that a lot of people don't really have the freedom to, and she's, you know, being pretty critical of it. Another thing that's brought up in the book is this deep-rooted sexism that exists in the K-pop industry, and it really negatively affects all women in the industry, and they give a perfect example here. One of the stars of one of DB Entertainment's biggest girl groups is Kang Jina, and she gets caught dating this guy, this other boy group member from this maybe he's not a boy group, he's a singer from this other entertainment company, and they find out and she's dropped like that, like at an instant, and the guy gets away scot-free and like nothing happens to him, but her career is ruined, and she's given up her entire youth basically for this group, for her career, for the company. And I'm low-key just scoffing at Jason ignoring the concept of sexism in the K-pop industry. Like even in the real life K-pop industry, you can see instances of this sexism happening. For example, how about all those ridiculously sexualized fan cams and outfits that they put girl groups in, or that company who totally freaking ruined Stellar with those really like basically forcing the members to do very provocative concepts that they didn't want to do. Or how about the fact that the Korean public basically crucifies any girl group members who decides to speak up for themselves and are, you can label them feminists, who decide to say that, hey, we deserve respect. I'm seriously this close to crying. Like, we just had this lovely moment between Rachel and her mom, and you know, there's nothing that hits, but personally, there's nothing that hits the feels more than a parent very sincerely telling their child, I'm very proud of you. Like, oh, just hand me a pack of tissues and I believe. We've come to the end, the big moment, and Rachel is debuting in her new girl group. And lo and behold, what is this group called? But Girls Forever? With 9 members? Come on. Come on. I know you know. I know you see this too. Alright, we finished Shine, and I'm really pleasantly surprised. Like, this book took a turn that I didn't expect. And the way that it ended, like the tone of how it ended on a lot of the plot threads, for example, Jason and Rachel's relationship, Mina and Rachel's relationship, oh, the tea on Mina that Rachel pulled out like right at the end, I was like, oh my god, like, oh my god. What I appreciate the most looking back is that the book ends on quite a cynical note. Like, I know the last chapter is actually pretty optimistic on the surface. It's like, oh, like I'm finally on stage now and I finally debuted and it's my time to shine. But everything underneath has this layer of cynicism, from the attitude towards the entertainment company to debuting as a K-pop star, to the relationships of the girls in the group. Like, they hate each other, and that's just, I mean, we obviously expect it. These groups don't actually, like, they're not actually family as much as they try to say that in interviews and stuff. But just the toxicity of everything is just, I know it's exaggerated, but I kind of love that, just because it I thought this was going to be like a really superficial, kind of like very bubbly, a little bit more sincere from Rachel's point, where she's like, it's like a very sincere effort on her part to be a K-pop star. But then we end on this note where Rachel has grown up and very quickly, and she's gotten this very like dark attitude to her, and I am living for it. It's such a good note to end on, and it surprised me. That's why I'm like really jazzed about it, because I'm so surprised that it kind of turned out this way, and I'm really pleased that, you know, we didn't just cover this up with like a nice layer of pretty frosting and just called it a delicious cake. Like, it's actually a pretty like bitter tasting dessert. It's like you can't have your cake and it tastes great too. That's not the saying. So to wrap up my thoughts on reading Shine by Jessica Jung, I really think this was a surprisingly better insight into the trainee life and attitude than I originally thought it would be. Looking back on every aspect, the trainee lifestyle, the relationships you have with your entertainment company and your trainers and your fellow trainees, as well as the relationships, like romantic relationships that you can't / hide to have. I think the book acknowledges a lot of the dealings, plannings, and like trickery that go on behind the scenes to try to manipulate the media and manipulate the public's view on different celebrities. And not only do we get the highlights, you know, the glamorous lifestyle of being a K-pop star, but we also get this very critical look at the shortcomings of being a celebrity in the K-pop industry, especially if you're a woman. I thought this was a pretty great book, though I'm not sure if I can handle reading the second book. There's just a lot of toxic things that go on, and it's kind of a lot. But if you like K-pop and you want to have a closer look at the insider information on what goes on in the industry, or if you like books about rich people problems / kind of superficial drama problems, the book has a tone that kind of covers the same. They have a lot of overlap with those types of books, so I think you will enjoy Shine if you enjoy those tropes. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please click like, and if you want to see more, click subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.